What if I told you that every building that you've ever been to might one day be heated by Bitcoin mining? Okay, so this video is not really about Bitcoin mining. It's about mining heat.
I will not hesitate.
What do we got?
Bye-bye. Heat.
No, not the 1995 Al Pacino movie, although that one's pretty good.
The Bitcoin protocol is essentially protected via thermodynamics. You are putting a tremendous amount of energy that is converted directly into security in cyberspace. But in the real world, it's just making a tremendous amount of heat. And that's where our business model comes in.
The heat you take for granted today is the product of years of engineering, from cavemen smashing rocks to fireplaces, baseboards, and thermostats with more RAM than an iPhone 3. But heating a home works much differently in scale than heating an apartment building, a factory, or a school. The demand for heat of that magnitude requires big industrial heaters or boilers, close-ended vessels that can provide both heat from an energy source or exchange heat from one medium to another. These can be complex and high bandwidth machines, and they aren't always purchased outright, but leased on a contract basis by district energy companies to deliver a set amount of heat over a specific duration for a relatively fixed cost. All right, so where does Bitcoin mining, Colin and his company MINTGREEN fit into all of this?
The difference really comes into economics. To run an electric boiler, let's say, it's very low carbon, but you're just basically burning electrons and there's no sort of ability to turn that into anything useful. With Bitcoin mining, you are essentially burning electrons for the purpose of defending the Bitcoin network and earning Bitcoin as yield on that, as well as harnessing that entropy to have an additional purpose. So the energy really gets used twice in our application.
MINTGREEN designs and builds electrical boilers and heat recovery systems, all powered by clean energy and Bitcoin miners. And quick pause, if you don't know what Bitcoin mining is or how it works, go check out the video in the top right corner that's going to pop up now. But can Bitcoin miners really provide that much heat? I had to check that one for myself. Yes, believe it or not, the same baby-killing, atmosphere-intoxicating, and ocean-boiling machine known as a Bitcoin miner,
how dare you,
creates essentially the same amount of heat per watt as a standard electric radiator. In fact, since making this video, I've actually started to use a Bitcoin miner to heat my own office, as it uses the same amount of electricity as my baseboard heater, but pays me around $25 of Bitcoin per month to run it. The challenge is Bitcoin miners are extremely loud, spatially inefficient, and in an unaltered form can't offer all the features or form factor as a traditional boiler. Colin's company MINTGREEN has apparently solved this challenge, and to prove it, they're flying me out to Vancouver Island so I can see it run in action with my own eyes. All right, it's 5:30 in the morning and we are going up to take a plane to Campbell River to see the installation of one of MINTGREEN's first ever working machines. Say hi, Moku. Where'd she go? Camera shy.
All right, what's the first stop? We're going to the Ideal Cafe, which is a quintessential greasy spoon out here in Campbell River. All right, the most advanced Bitcoin heater in the world, tumbler. Mini digital boiler. Let's go.
This is MINTGREEN's digital boiler. It's made up of dozens of hashing boards running inside of a rotating liquid immersed cylinder engineered for maximum spatial efficiency, heat capture, and heat output. Its installation here replaces a standard air heating system, expediting the dry aging process for hundreds of barrels of whiskey in a remote private distillery in Campbell River. But hold on a minute. All this Bitcoin mining, it's a waste of energy, right? I mean, studies have shown that the Bitcoin network uses as much electricity as small countries. Elon Musk stopped accepting Bitcoin over ecological concerns. And Elizabeth Warren hates it, so it's gotta be evil, right?
Energy use has never had to be defended. Like if you are watching videos on your computer, if you are playing video games, if you are lighting your Christmas tree, I think Bitcoin is the only use of energy that's ever had to articulate why that use is appropriate. Use of energy is essentially how, maybe from a science fiction level, but we look at the advancement of societies in general. So like the Kardashev scale looks at how much energy is consumed by society, and that's an assessment of how advanced it is. We're always going to consume more energy. That's just a sign of the progress of the species in general. So we never want to move backwards on that, but we can always do it better. And I think that's what we're doing. And I think that's what the space is doing in general, better than most industries.
Many countries in Europe took center stage in the news last year for having astronomical electric and gas prices, making heating through the winter prohibitively expensive and forcing a few districts to move back to burning coal for the first time in decades. But in places like Canada, for the first time, thanks to a robust renewable energy grid, it's actually becoming cheaper on a long-term basis to heat using electricity versus traditional fuel sources like oil or natural gas.
The cost is usually prohibitively expensive to use electricity. If we can offset some of their costs through our other revenue streams with Bitcoin mining, we can incentivize the electrification and decarbonization of their line. So in the case of Lonsdale Energy Corp, we are basically supplanting the incumbent, which would be natural gas, to the tune of 1,900 tons of CO2 per megawatt per year being prevented from going to the atmosphere.
But I thought Bitcoin was bad for the environment.
I know, this is a major narrative violation.
In theory, Bitcoin mining could eventually become one of the most cost-effective ways to provide heat from electricity. And the savings from being able to generate two products from one electricity source could greatly reduce the demand for fossil fuel-based heating in many regions around the world. So whether you're a Bitcoin evangelist and pray to the altar of Satoshi, or your uncle is Peter Schiff and your aunt is Elizabeth Warren, none of it matters, because on a purely economic basis, Bitcoin heating just makes sense. It's the best 2-for-1 deal since your local pizza parlor, and unlike pizza, you don't have to feel guilty about it.
Understanding Bitcoin is such a small part of understanding Bitcoin. You need to understand Bitcoin's interface with the real world, and that's where all the learning and understanding comes from. It incentivizes improvements to the grid. You're seeing a lot of that in West Texas right now. It also takes something with massive moral hazard out of the hands of people, such as managing money supply. It is obviously digital, but its backing is through infrastructure and through proof of work. Which makes it somewhat incorruptible. It's a machine that makes small truths every 10 minutes. And that alone is so profound that it kind of sucks the rest of the world around it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then you definitely need to check out the rest of my channel here on YouTube. It's filled with interviews with entrepreneurs, short documentaries, 60-second explainers, and much more, all with a frontline and adventurous look into the past and future of finance. We're putting out content like this almost every week, so if you don't want to miss it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.